We begin this morning with President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to Maiduguri, Boardroom state capital, where he met with troops fighting insurgency. The president said the country is in the final phase of the campaign against insurgency and other forms of criminality, and all troops of Operation Hardin Kai to remain steadfast. The president, who addressed the troops at the Air Force Base in Maiduguri, said the entire nation remains grateful for the gallantry displayed in ensuring the gradual return of peace to the Northeast. He condoled with families who lost loved ones and the wounded. Buhari assured families of soldiers who paid the supreme price for the nation and injured that the federal government will cater for their needs, recognizing their sacrifices for all Nigerians. According to President Buhari, the government will continue to ensure that the widows and the children of fallen heroes are well catered for to help them fully realize their potential. President Buhari said Nigeria, like other nations in the Sahel region, is faced with several security challenges that are largely characterized by the violent activities of non-state actors. According to the president, further improvements in the security situation in Operation Hardin Kai has led to corresponding rise in confidence of our people, who are now returning in significant numbers to their homes. He said concerted efforts are being made to improve equipment, holding with the receipt of some of the platforms procured by the administration, while others will be received in the weeks ahead. While noting threat posed by criminals through the employment of improvised explosive device IEDs, a substantial resource have also been directed at procuring equipment for explosive ordnance disposal. According to President Muhammadu Buhari, similar attention is being given to intelligence, surveillance, and target acquisition, reconnaissance, and assets. Meanwhile, the Islamic State in West African province Iswap has claimed responsibility for multiple rocket attacks launched from the outskirts of Maiduguri, the Boardroom state capital. The attacks were before President Buhari's arrival in the city. At least 5 persons, including a 16-year-old girl, were reportedly killed after explosives landed in several areas within the metropolis. The insurgents were said to have launched the attack from the outskirts of Auna, which is about 15 kilometers away from the city. Residents within the area scampered for safety amid sounds of explosion. A sad one again.
Truly so sad. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. I mean, another life cut short, only 16. And that part of Nigeria, Maiduguri, has been under siege since 2009. I actually recall vividly the first person who was telling me how, we've had to move our mother out of Maiduguri. It's not safe to live there anymore. That was as far back as 2009. And here we still are, contending with Boko Haram. Iswap has now joined and created such a menace. And then we now have the criminal herders who now became, something, what we call bandits, more like terrorists. There's kidnapping going on all over the country. So it's now not just the north that's under siege. Everybody feels it now in Nigeria. There's a pervading feeling of insecurity. President Buhari there, his visit to the troops will, I imagine, serve as a morale booster, but I hope there are other tangible benefits that are provided by that. But regarding him, he's come under heavy criticism because he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Even voices like JNI, that highly influential Islamic group, which is led by the Sultan of Sokoto, such an eminent personality, has criticized President Buhari. You recall just the carnage that happened in Sokoto earlier this month, where passengers were burnt alive, including a pregnant woman. So we're so heartbroken in this country at this moment. We're unsafe and we're feeling it. We had a change of security chiefs. We've had marching orders being issued several times, and there seems to be no real improvement, quite frankly. And it is worrying, and it has a knock-on effect on other parts of our public life. The economy, people are immiserated in this country because a lot of farmers cannot access their land. It's affecting the economy, it's affecting investments, affecting so many things, and it really does need to be addressed once and for all. As the president has now entered his final lap, he's got like 17 months to go. I do hope that all those flowery words that we've all become accustomed to hearing are actually backed by action, finally and convincingly.
Dr. Abati?
Okay, this is what I think. I think the president as commander-in-chief of the armed forces visiting the troops at a very critical theater of operation for bandits and also for the security agencies at the season of Christmas. It's a very good strategic move. He's not just president of Nigeria. He's president, he's head of state, and he's also commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And the fact that he's a retired soldier, helps, because the troops like to look up to persons who have been in their constituency. So I think it was whoever planned it was intelligent enough to see that this would be a good strategic move. However, the other leg of it is that at the time the president was visiting the troops, Iswap struck and killed people, which was also a way of trying to show the government that, yes, you are making these efforts, but to what effect? And I think that that's something that the president should pay more attention to, because those terrorists who sent that message, they were deliberately sending a message, and they succeeded with their message. They killed people. I think that the big takeaway, the big indication of the president's visit is for the president himself to realize that, look, this battle is not over. It's not been won. And it's not over until it is over. What we're doing, is making statements talking about a final phase of campaign against insecurity. What is clear in this struggle for more than a decade is that no president of Nigeria is in a position to determine what the final phase of this campaign against insecurity in Nigeria would be. And not even President Buhari can, on the basis of a visit to the war front, determine that. So that media packaging about final phase and all that, we should take that with a pinch of salt. And that's why I think that the subtextual invasion ahead of his visit by the by Iswap, the Islamic State of the West African province, is something that should be noted by the security chief. So they should not lie to the president and tell him, oh, we are in charge. The other matter that needs to be considered is that the president in his address made the point about the widows of ex-servicemen. And he was talking to them, and he was saying, their welfare will be considered. And I think it's important. Was it not Ujinika Okpe, who brought the story yesterday, right? I think she was the one, about how widows and ex-servicemen, in the Nigerian military were protesting that they are not being taken care of. So I take that line in the president's statement as a way of responding to their concerns. And if that is what it is, not just an accidental, episodic intrusion into the original speech, then the president should take that matter seriously. Ex-servicemen are suffering. They've not been paid their pensions. Their widows are not treated well. And it's not just ex-servicemen and their widows, or widows of the ones that died, the heroes that we want to remember on January 15 every year, and that we will remember on January 15, 2022. The president should provide the relevant, the required, the necessary leadership by saying, no, pensioners in this country will no longer suffer. I mean, after all, President Obasanjo started the process when he decided to look into pension schemes. One of my kinsmen, Fola Adiola, was the man who led the process, okay? And that worked. But as in everything in Nigeria, implementation is always the problem. And I don't think it is fair that widows of people who have served this country should be treated badly. People should be able to serve this country and be confident that when they pass, somebody will look out for their families. And particularly when they have worked in the public sector. If you work in the private sector, maybe nobody even remembers your family. But if you serve Nigeria, your family should not suffer. Finally, the president was praising the armed forces. Yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. So he was just playing a role there. It's not necessarily because he's a retired military officer himself. In spite of everything, these are our policemen with whom masquerades are now beginning to compete to extort people, and with whom area boys are perpetually competing. Or these are our soldiers who are beginning to behave like policemen at checkpoints and also at creations of their own invention on the streets of Nigeria. They still help. They still serve a purpose. I once told you a story on this program of how elsewhere in the country, when you see a Marine appearing at an airport, people will stand up, they will start applauding. Because they know that this U.S. Marine is serving the country. I've never seen anybody stand up in a Nigerian soldier or policeman. So, but they need to be encouraged. So yes. I encourage the president to continue to encourage them. Maybe from this encouragement, you know, Nigerians will begin to realize that, okay, as third class, as backward as we may think they are still the ones helping us to keep this country together. Mm. So the president has gone to Boardroom, he's talking about security. The message from Nigerians, as I read it, I may be wrong, I need to be corrected in case I'm wrong, is that Nigerians expect the government to do more, particularly as the president himself in 2015, right, promised security as one of the major pillars. So Christmas time is signposting security. Nigerians say, Mr. President, please do more. We like what you have said, but there's a lot more to be done.
Very well said, Dr. Batian Tundu. It's just a very sad day for us in this country again, you know. And for me, the part that is scary is this new method by these terrorists. They don't come into Maiduguri again because they know Maiduguri is fortified. The military has done a great job as regards fortification. Now they shoot rockets from outskirts into town. I think we need to go one step further to see how we can get all those rockets, rocket launchers from them, and totally get the arms off their hands. Because yes, they might not be able to come into Maiduguri because they know they will have a real firefight with the military, and the military is not going to back down. But the fact that they can shoot rockets, they can make a lot of impact. And when I hear people shooting rockets, I remember the fight between Hezbollah, you know, and Israel, and how much damage Hezbollah did with shooting rockets. And it is sad that we have gotten to that point in Maiduguri. It is supposed to be safe, but the safety is suspect. A 16-year-old. Only God knows what that 16-year-old will have been in her life.
Devastating.
So this blights Christmas for me. It makes it a very sad Christmas. We salute our troops. We call on the government to do the needful. We'll call on Nigerians, but please let's remember in this fight that we collectively want peace. And the government must go one step further to fish out those that don't want peace in this area and shame them. They are sponsors of these terrorist groups and insurgents. The government should come out straight, shame them, go after them, follow the money. Because people don't just get AK-47s on the road. They buy them because some people are funding them. Once you can cut the connection of money and the nexus of money with this war, will go a long way. So please, apart from fighting troops losing their life on the battlefront, some of them without limbs, let's also follow the sponsors of these groups and bring them to book and ensure that these groups don't get the oxygen, which is the funds they get to buy bullets and the likes, and they get to buy more, you know, rockets and grenades to hurt people. Nigeria will survive. It is a blight in our history, but I'd like to say, like Winston Churchill, if we live 1,000 years, hopefully at some point we'll be able to say, we went through this. It might not necessarily be our finest hour, but we'll overcome. Thank you. That's all on News Headline. We take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Rotus Adesua to give us updates on Africa Business Update, COVID-19, and global activities across the world. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News on Christmas Eve. Our dependable Rota Sadiri is here to give us an African business update.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Rotas.
Tunde. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning to all our viewers. We kick off with oil and gas news. Seplat, energy company, has terminated the appointment of Mr. Austin Avuru as a non-executive director. They put out a notice to that effect. Yesterday, his law firm responded to that, saying that the board of Seplat is trying to sully his reputation. And if you take a look at the last paragraph in the letter that Mr. Avuru's law firm put out, they were saying that they should, the public should disregard the notice. So it's getting a bit ugly, and it's unfortunate because this may not be unconnected with the exit, or the coming exit in next year, May of 2022, of Mr. ABC Ojiako, who is the chair of the board of Seplat. So just to give our viewers a bit of a background here, and this is the beauty of capitalism, Mr. Austin Avuru is the head of Platform Petroleum Development Company, right? So take a key note of that name, Platform. Mr. Ojiako is the head of Sheba Petroleum Development Company. So they came together, Mr. Ojiako and Mr. Avuru, back in 2009 or so, and they said, hey, look, how about we form an SPV, special purpose vehicle? We'll take letters from my company and yours, Sheba Petroleum Development Company, Petroleum Platform Development Company, and we'll form Seplat. And Seplat, way back in 2009, started to acquire assets, onshore assets, from the large oil majors like Shell when they were starting their divestment program. So that, Seplat was one of the early, companies, indigenous firms that acquired these assets. So, it's the beauty of capitalism. Both men came together, they formed the company. Now, in July of 2020, July of last year, Mr. Avuru, who again is the founding managing director of Seplat, Mr. Ojiako is the founding chair. He stepped down. That's the gentleman on the left of your screen there for our viewers. He stepped down as MD CEO in July last year and then was appointed as a non-executive director. Now, in November, Mr. Ojiako was announced that he would be stepping down as the chair in May. The market kind of started to speculate that, okay, who would be next in line to be the next chair of the board of Seplat? And the assumption, at least in market chatter, again, it's not official, was that it would be Mr. Austin Avuru. So it's what I call a TATT, which is a tussle at the top, which is unfortunate. Maybe fences can be mended, but they put again, his law firm put out a letter saying that they're trying to sully his reputation, and we will see what happens in the new year. There's a whole lot more coming out from that. Seplat, by the way, I think it's up about 50, 60, that's a stock on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, one of the best performing stocks on the exchange this year due to the appreciation in oil prices. All right, we move from that to another bit of big news. I'm very proud to say I broke this news yesterday on the 3 p.m. segment of the Global Business Report. My phone was blowing up and people were sending letters to me. These two companies, Titan Trust Bank, which is a 2-year-old bank, they got their banking license in 2019, is acquiring about 88.39% of Union Bank shares. Union Bank, of course, is a 104-year-old bank. So they put out a letter yesterday, and we quickly broke it on the Global Business Report, that they are acquiring 89.3%, basically majority of Union Bank shares. So the majority shareholders in Union Bank, that is Union Global Partners Limited, Atlas Mara, and that's Bob Diamond, and then a couple of other majority shareholders. They are divesting their holdings to the tune of that 89.39% figure over to Titan Trust. And it's, for people who haven't never heard of Titan Trust, well, you've heard of them now, because this is it's a big announcement. So what's going to happen next? I mean, for now, once the board completes the approval, once the regulator, central bank, and so on, then they will become the majority shareholder. Does that mean they will rebrand? Will they take over the branch networks of Union Bank? Will things stay as is? Again, this is something that broke just before Christmas. We will find out in the new year. Broadcasting, the NBC, the National Broadcasting Commission, they are apparently in talks with the National University Commission and the National Board for Technical Education, NBTE, to put forward accreditation for broadcasting in universities. They're also looking at launching an Institute for Broadcasting Policy and Regulations in 2022. The Director General of the NBC, Malam Sheoile, he said that, due to fake news, misinformation of the public, they want to, they're looking at doing this in order to, uphold the standards of broadcasting in Nigeria. So we'll see if that moves forward, because, an accreditation, I guess, will add to the what you get out of your university degree if you choose to go into broadcasting. And then finally, Kenya. The IMF says that Kenya is abandoning their plans to nationalize Kenya Airways due to financing issues. They want to go another route. Again, this is coming from the IMF. Haven't heard from Kenya, but as the IMF does their country reports, they do assessments of fiscal structures of different countries. This is new coming from the IMF. So again, when we talk about nationalizing carriers now, so Kenya's put about $750 million. The airline said they need more money, so now the IMF is saying they're abandoning it completely and they'll look for other options. That's our update.
It looks like they're going to have to.
It's been a sinking hole of just pouring money.
Hasn't it? And there's been a lot of talk about overhauling the business model, but apparently all attempts to plug those holes haven't been successful so far. Well, congratulations to Titan Trust. And like you said, if people have not heard of them, but they've certainly heard of their chairman, Tunde Lemo.
Yes, indeed.
We all know who that is. But this is such a great coup, and well done you for breaking that story. And then on the Seplat story, I'm wondering, because it's kind of vague so far, do we have more details about those breaches in corporate governance that have been alleged?
In fact, thank you. Sorry, I left that out. The reason why the board says that they're terminating Mr. Avuru's position as non-executive director is because of what they say is corporate breach of corporate governance regulations at the company. There's not much details, which is why his law firm rushed out that letter and said, look, they're trying to sully his reputation. And because he's a man of integrity, he's, as far as in business circles are concerned, his contributions to the economy and so on and so forth, the oil and gas sector. And he's an engineer, so he very much knows very much about the industry and so on and so forth. So it's, as of now, again, I predict that in the new year, more of this, if they don't mend fences, more of this stuff is going to come out. But corporate governance is what they're saying. Yeah.
Boardroom politics. I think what's going on.
Tussle at the top.
It's boardroom politics, and it goes a long way about the conversation of collaborations. People coming together with separate ideas and all of that. Where can they meet halfway?
Yeah.
It works for some people. They build a very big company, but when you start to have these fractious relationships in the boardroom, it destroys everything. Right. I am looking at the future health of the company Seplat because they've built a good company.
They have.
They built a great company. Dually listed, London and Nigeria. Yeah. The stock price, I think, over
60% this year. It's done very well.
It's done very well, and it's doing quite well. And and I'm really happy because this is a part of the local companies that have been able to take on oil fields, in Sapele and some other areas, and they have managed it. We've not heard too many wahala as regards any field managed by Seplat and the like. So I just hope they fix their stuff. They should look at the grand vision here, which is Seplat as a company. Secondly, I'm happy. I'm happy because Nigerians have taken over Union Bank. I felt blighted when, and a little background to how it all started. Bob Diamond met Ashish Taka a couple of years ago, and they set up this, SPV engine, and they went on a quick run. Not only in Nigeria, banks across Africa. I think they did over 40 banks across Africa.
Pan-African vision.
Pan-African vision. And it was very troubling for me because, it was another face of colonialism. Bob Diamond, former Barclays Bank, coming with Ashish Taka. Albeit an African, Ugandan, but taking all our banks and taking our heritage like that. And Titan Trust now is taking it back. A lot of people have been asking, people behind Titan Trust is just 2 years old. Where did they get the financing from? What does the deal involve?
That wasn't disclosed. The amount of money
because I'd like to know the fine details. The amount of money. And some people are also segueing the conversation into the fact that it's been a year of very funny takeovers. You remember the 5G thing too? Yeah. Macbag Communications all of a sudden is like a 2-year-old company. Website, check the website. Is he working or not? And boom, 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 200 million. And now another boom, 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 boom. So a lot of takeovers and stuff. But
we want takeovers. We
want takeovers as long as they're Nigerian. So I mean, good prospect for business.
With regard to Union Bank.
Union Bank and Titan, yes.
That's the bank that is advertised as big, strong, reliable. So when I hear Titan Trust Bank is taking over Union Bank, the question I ask is this. What is it that is being taken over? Is it the management of it? Or is it something being taken over that shareholders and stakeholders need to worry about? Ordinarily, I should be emotional and say, oh, this is good. Because Tunde Lemon, who is taking it over, is my kinsman.
Ah, okay.
Okay, we were born in the same church. We attended the same primary school. He was my senior in the secondary school.
Oh, wow.
His father and my father lie beside each other in the same graveyard. So I should say, oh, my brother is doing very well. He has a first class, I have a first class. So I have emotional relationship with him. But it goes beyond that. It is not about emotional connection, family connection, church connection, or ethnic connection. With Union Bank, which is a bank that has been there forever, like First Bank. Okay, people even wonder why I still use Union Bank. They say I'm conservative. They say I'm old school. I think in all of these conversations, we have seen mergers, we have seen acquisitions, we have seen takeovers. For me, as somebody who is associated with Union Bank, the basic question I'm asking is, are all of this, yes, beyond the corporate politics, how would all of this cascade down affect the functioning of the bank, the survival of the bank? You know, small category depositors like us, you know, who will like our bank to survive. I think that that's the area where the investigation should go, beyond boardroom politics. Because what you could find is that there could be a panic out there.
Right.
Okay, another bank is taking over Union Bank, special purpose vehicles. Ordinary people like us, we ask, what is going to happen to my deposits?
NDIC will take care of your deposits.
No.
I'm not being emotional either.
My deposit is not big enough for NDIC to worry about. But I get
any
your
deposit. It's any deposit.
They'll take care of you.
Former MD of NDIC wrote a very intelligent book on the subject, which I have on my table. Okay, so what I'm saying, therefore, is that we should look at the lower levels of the concerns. As for Seplat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know what they do, but I've seen, I know what they do, 229, that they lost. Austin Aburu worked with Allied Energy, Erin Energy. He was a geoscientist with NMPC and all of that. I know all the
well-versed.
issues involved. Okay, but what is my point? My point is this. If it has happened, Austin Aburu is being accused of failing in his fiduciary duties in a company that he helped to build. Okay? And his lawyers have put a statement out. He also has rights. This is a contractual, relationship. Okay, can his lawyers go a bit further in an attempt, as they have put out, to defend his reputation, to go out there and state their claims in a court of law? Because there could be legal implications in this sudden, dramatic, histrionic divorce of a relationship. But what nobody can take away from Austin Aburu, I think it should be about 61 or 62 now, okay, right? And it was supposed to be at an event that I anchored the other day. He didn't show up, but that's not the issue. Okay. What cannot be taken away is the fact that he has been a major player in the oil and gas industry, and is one of the shining stars in that industry. From his career as a geoscientist with the NMPC, to his involvement with Allied Energy, Erin Energy, the struggle to get OML 29, which went another way. Don't let me divert and tell that story so that I don't sound like I'm too old. And then, of course, what they've been able to do, he and his colleagues, with Seplat Energy. So, I mean, he has done very well. A book has been written, his biography by Tony Khan Onwadi and his wife, and it's a very brilliant story of a young entrepreneur, of a well-educated man, of a focused, innovative, Nigerian who has done very well in his chosen field. Nobody can take that away from him. Whatever it is that they are fighting over in terms of a business. Now, the final point that I'll make with regard to Seplat is that, look, this is the way it goes with partnership in Nigeria. Now, there's one famous book on partnerships in Nigeria. I don't quite remember the title immediately. But what that book was telling us, I remember in a moment, you know, is that even if you do partnership with your brother, blood brother, the classical example in this regard is the Odutola brothers. Somewhere down the line, this thing can go wrong. And there are people in Nigeria today who are afraid of any kind of partnership. In part because of our social environment, in part because of our cultural environment. Maybe students of business, you know, we also look at this Seplat example as a way of looking at, okay, why is it that partnerships fail in Nigeria? Those for me are the two takeaways. But whatever happens to Austin Aburo, you know, I think he's had a very good career, a good run. He used to write opinion pieces for me in my position as chairman editorial board and editorial page editor of The Guardian. He writes well. So he will be fine.
He'll be fine.
He will be fine. But whatever it is can be sorted out legally.
Great points, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you.
For an update on COVID-19 pandemic, Adeswa Omora is here with us. Welcome back, Adeswa. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, student. Thank you so much. And great minds do think alike with the red dresses.
Of course.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good to see you again. Good morning, Rufai.
Adeswa, the queen of Edo Kingdom. Okay, you arrived at Aaron's wedding after I left, but it's okay. It's good to see you.
Yes.
Yes, and you are in red too.
Yes.
Does Christmas have something to do with red?
Yes.
So Christmas is red and white, right?
Yes.
No, that's Santa.
It's a color of
That's
Christmas.
Santa.
Christmas is actually red and green.
Christmas is red and green,
Yes.
not red and white. Okay, but red is in there.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Adeswa. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. You keep referring to me as Queen of Edo. Well, I promise not to announce the divorce on social media. Moving on to COVID-19
Something has
updates
happened. Fine. It looks like something is in the offing.
Are you serious?
Everybody is getting married around. Wow. Okay, Adeswa, we are waiting. Yeah.
All right, guys. It's a month today South Africa announced the identification of the newest variant dubbed the Omicron by the World Health Organization. And of course, this Omicron variant continues to drive record COVID infections across the world. I can tell you that in the last 24 hours, several countries, including Italy, the UK, and France, have recorded their highest daily numbers since the start of the pandemic almost 2 years ago. But here's a global outlook of how things stand so far, according to the Johns Hopkins University tally. There have been over 278 million coronavirus infections, at least 5.3 million deaths recorded, and over 8 billion vaccine doses have now been administered. This is as the global health body, the WHO, warns that no country can boost its way out of the pandemic. The WHO DG, Tedros Ghebreyesus, yesterday hitting out at where there are countries who are prioritizing booster shots at the moment. But let's come to Nigeria, where infections are also surging. In the last 24 hours, Nigeria has recorded over 1,900 infections. This was reported by the NCDC. It includes a backlog of 734 cases from the nation's capital, Abuja. But the latest data is a decline from the over 4,000 infections reported from the previous day. A look at the vaccination update in Nigeria. Well, over 9 million eligible Nigerians have now received a first dose of the vaccine, while a little above 4 million others have been fully vaccinated, meaning that they have received 2 doses of available vaccines. Nigeria, like many other countries, countries is also giving out booster shots to shore up immunity against the virus. Now, the table you should have on your screen is the latest data released by the NPHCDA. It shows the vaccination so far by Nigeria, and there's a column for booster shots. But that column shows that only 17 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have rolled out booster shots. It shows that Taraba and Jigawa State have administered 1 and 4 shots respectively. And as promised, and in a bid to boost confidence in vaccine safety in Nigeria, health officials and journalists during the week supervised the destruction of more than 1 million COVID-19 vaccines. Well, the Nigerian government, through its health officials, say the doses had a short shelf life and have expired. They were donated and received in October through the International COVAX Alliance and were delivered within weeks of expiry. We're told that some of these vaccines had about 2 weeks of expiry to go. And very quickly, it looks like COVID is again throwing holiday gatherings into disarray in parts of the world. Wherever you look, in New York, it's been scaled back. Here in Nigeria, the federal government has declared that indoor religious gatherings should be limited to 50% capacity with full compliance to public health measures. A statement by the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, the PSC, is also urging families to limit number of visitors to their homes, limit gatherings of more than 50 people to outdoor spaces, and of course, avoid unnecessary travel at this time. I think the message is to celebrate wisely and, safely at this time. To China, where China is pressing on with its zero COVID strategy ahead of the Winter Olympics. Authorities have imposed what is said to be their most severe lockdown in almost a year. Well, China on Thursday locked down the northern city of Xi'an after over 200 cases were recorded this month. We're not told if this was because of Omicron or the Delta variant, which is prevalent in China, but only one person per household is allowed to leave their house every 2 days for essential shopping. Now that is drastic. And to the US, where the FDA yesterday authorized the Merck COVID pill for high-risk adults. A day after a similar pill by Pfizer was also given a green light. The Molnupiravir, which is what is called the Merck's COVID pill, the Molnupiravir is taken within 5 days of symptoms onset and has been shown to reduce COVID hospitalization and deaths by 30%, not the 50% initially reported by the company. The Pfizer's pill, however, reduces the same outcomes by 90%. It is said that Americans would likely prefer Pfizer to the Merck, but we'll wait to see what happens. And finally, this morning, some good news. New studies seem to suggest that Omicron is milder and those infected are much less likely to end up in hospital, but scientists are also urging caution. The UK's Health Security Agency says people infected with Omicron are estimated to be up to 70% less likely to be admitted to the hospital. And it follows similar conclusions from a research in South Africa, as well as 2 other studies from the UK.
Yes, certainly in the UK, the papers are all reporting this morning that in terms of severity, that Omicron is not as bad as either Delta or the Beta variant before it. But in terms of transmissibility, the statistics is quite frightening. And the concern of the scientists, a sentiment, or no, not a sentiment, an opinion expressed by Professor Neil Ferguson yesterday is that, look, the NHS in the UK may also be invariably overwhelmed. So people may not necessarily die from Omicron, but the transmissibility rate is very high. Only yesterday, I think the UK had over 100,000 cases per day. And that really is what the scientists are telling us. So in a sense, what the papers are reporting in the UK today may be a vindication of Prime Minister Johnson, who is saying, look, there will be no lockdowns. But will the UK pay the price in January for this decision to save Christmas and to protect Santa? Santa now, in a relaxed mode. Now, as for Nigeria. Now, in Nigeria, we're told by Faisal Shaibu, and this is, something we heard 2 weeks ago, that, look, people should be careful at Christmas. and that there should be 50% reduction. The Presidential Steering Committee is telling us in terms of attendance at the end of the year crossover service. Crossover services are held by churches on December 31. And even ahead of the crossover service on December 31, there are many events. Pastor Tundu Abiola here, who knows some of these events and may end up attending some of them, who know that, look, at Christmas, end of the year, people go to church. They want to call on God. But I think it's important that the Presidential Steering Committee and the MPA-CDA, they're both saying, look, people should be careful. But would they monitor? Because these people who organize these crossover services, they are like governments unto themselves. Which task force organized by the Nigerian government can possibly stop some churches in this country? I don't want to be contrarian. I don't want to be accused of being contrarian by mentioning some churches. You know, we'll go there and say, Daddy Gio, or Pastor Gio, or Mommy Gio, you cannot have a crossover service. Or stop the people from going there. I think what is important is for us to invest more in risk communication efforts to let the Nigerian people themselves realize that, look, in the face of Omicron and with infection rate in Nigeria increasing by 500% rate, as the NCDC, the Center for Disease Control, has pointed out, that people have a responsibility to protect themselves and to take booster jabs. Will the people listen? Well, that remains in the realm of conjecture. Now, as for Monopravir, I think that's the name of the drug, from Maersk, that has now been given emergency authorization. Before it, there was a Paxlovid by Pfizer. Well, I think it's a major advancement in the fight against COVID-19. We're told that these are pills that can be administered. The Monopravir is efficient, we're told, maybe about 30%. But the other one that is more efficient is a Pfizer one called Paxlovid. And the United States has invested heavily in that, and we're likely to see that being done. But the only caveat here is that Monopravir has a side effect. It could affect in situations of pregnancy. And the other one, which is said to be 99% effective. Okay, fine rhetoric, fine narrative, great advancement for science. Then when will it get to Africa? African countries and the vulnerable countries of the world, part of this conversation.
Well, that leads me to my point, Dr. Abati. Actually, no, let me digress. Churches have a responsibility to the society and to their congregation to uphold the laws of the land and follow COVID guidelines, which they've been doing, and I trust that they'll continue to do, Dr. Abati. Now, with regards to the vaccines that were destroyed, having only been sent over 5 minutes to expiration and not for the first time in Africa either, it just really draws such a stark, contrast in the sort of approach that should have been adopted here. You have in the UK, to name just one Western country, with Rishi Sunak just a few days ago announcing a £1 billion aid to the hard-hit hospitality industry that's been battered by last-minute cancellation because of the Omicron virus. And that £1 billion doesn't even go far enough for some people. Wouldn't that money have been better spent? Would we not have gotten a lot farther ahead if the world had acted in unison, in concert, as was advised by the WHO from the get-go? Now they're having to pay £1 million. This is a real case of penny wise, pound foolish, if you ask me. And just needless sufferings and the potential for even more variants. We're still contending with Omicron now. So far, the data suggests that it's milder than Delta. But we should not even have had Omicron in the first case. It should not have arisen at all. We could have stopped at Delta. And the vaccines that we had produced all over the world, like Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and what have you, Sputnik 5, what have you, were efficient against Delta. Now here we are having to have boosters. In the UK, the booster program is not stopping for Christmas Day. They're calling it jingle jabs. They're going to be open on Christmas Day to give people boosters, such as this drive to protect people. There would have been no need for a third jab. And now we're looking at fourth jabs. Now the CEO of Pfizer is talking about how we're going to need a yearly top-up. So the definition of fully vaccinated has changed from 2 jabs to now 3 to God knows how many. All because of selfishness and, spectacularly backfired.
Germany, Israel, and the UK, they are proposing a 4th jab, in fact.
There you go.
So for me, in all of this, like I keep saying, we have seen the world for what it is now. We have seen the massive inequality. We have seen the fact that some people don't care, while some people will always care. But the ray of hope, as it is Christmas, and Christmas is a very hopeful time of the year, is the fact that we're at the beginning of the end of all of this. And that's the exciting thing when I saw that story at the Financial Times today, that Omicron is not as, virulent as the other strains. And a lot of people are down with Omicron. And this is why I kid you not, Omicron has hit community spread in Lagos. Increasingly, people are testing positive of COVID, but because it's not virulent, you're not hearing isolation centers are filled up, so you don't need hospitalization. But we shouldn't say because of that, we shouldn't still maintain, those non-pharmacological means. We must wash our hands, we must take our jabs, we must fight on. The world must bring equity back to vaccine distribution.
Wear a face mask.
We must wear a face mask, but the good part of it is we're at the beginning of the end of all of this. This soon will come to an end. And at this time of the year, I spare a thought for those that died this time last year when Delta first hit. I have like 5 people in my head I always think of. May their souls continue to rest. And may we learn the lessons we need to learn from all of this. Thank you, Adesuwa.